Even in the Quran, you see glimpses, you see this kind of message in Islam as well, although it's not the main projection, because what happened with the Islamic tradition, see, you have to remember what people were in need of. Where Islam came, okay, so let's talk about this, about the central theme of Islam being justice. When Islam came, it came to a lawless part of the world that was eclipsed with inequality, with oppression, transgression, and just crimes. It was really submerged in that. So it was not the primary message wasn't going to be, let me rephrase that. The message at the vanguard, at the forefront, that was going to constantly echo was going to be about justice. The message of love and compassion and these things are equally important, but the message of love, you see, Allah constantly says in the Quran, so many verses, Inna Allah yuhib, Inna Allah yuhib, Allah yuhib, Wallahu yuhib, Allah loves, Allah loves, Allah loves, constantly. But why was this not if you were to say, the nectar of the message? It's definitely there, it's a powerful ingredient. But the nectar definitely emerges as justice. Because you see, when a person is oppressed, it's not, just saying to them, hey, it's all about love, or it's about, it's just love everyone. And it doesn't work for them, because they are in a state of being oppressed and transgressed against. They have a yearning, an irresistible yearning for justice. And this, by the way, hasn't changed. This, even today, in most part of the world, in I would argue the majority of the world, is still the number one yearning for justice, because people have been wronged. So the Quran, in that lawless state, it pushed forward the message of justice, and then it nested it within mercy. And then it watered it with love and compassion. So this is why the central theme that emerges immediately is one of justice, because that was what was needed. It was the primary, fundamental, the crisis and the instinctual yearning that people had. So Islam brought that. Now, you see, and so this is why most of the ulama developed on the back of a legal platform, because legality was about establishing law and order. It was about attaining justice. It was about setting up rules. It was about structures in society. Remember, this is a society that had none of these. It was bereft of all of these. So when Islam brought this is why fiqh and sharia, it had complete ghalaba, overcame the deen. Like, this was the standing point of the deen. This is why the scholars, for the most part, were always fuqaha. They were jurists. Why weren't the scholars muhaddithin for the most part? Why were they not huffaz of the Quran for the most part? Why were they not qira'ah experts? Why were they not mufassirin? Why were they not? I'm not saying there were many of these scholars, but the majority were always legal jurists, because it was about setting up law and order, establishing rights for people, having structures, having rules in society, giving people this which they did not have. Now you fast forward to a time where in some parts of the world, like where we live, in the developed part of the world, alhamdulillah, there is order. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there is plenty of order. There are plenty of structures in place. There's rules. There's, guidelines. There's contractual nuances and fine points. There's bylaws. There's canons. There's so much of this stuff where we live in the world today. So you see, so what happens as one pulls, the other the other kind of relaxes. As the other pulls, this relaxes. So we find ourselves with law, with a reasonably good amount of lawfulness, with rules, with structures, with bylaws, with with guidelines, with all these points in society. In that point, we start to see the other element blossoming more of the Deen, which is about compassion, about love, about humanity, because these things are there in society. See, people here, yes, I'm not saying they don't yearn, but it's not the same. In this part of the world, some people have had enough. There's too many rules. You park at this place, you get fined, you go into this lane, it's like this, they can't, everything is about technicality now. Somebody does this, they only get this happens to this person, this happens to this. It's like people are like, oh my God, I've just got so many rules and laws and bylaws, and they've got too much. Emphasizing just this aspect of the Deen, people can do it, but I feel that is a mismatch, because people have that, their ruh, it yearns for the other side, for the love, for the compassion, for that humanity. So this is how these things balance out. So I think that's an important message, and I think this is why people sometimes mismatch things. And I absolutely understand, in many parts of the world, justice and that is still clearly, it's way ahead of the requirements. It is absolutely number one. So many people are still oppressed. And you're right. That's why in many of the Muslim countries, that's their number one thing. But when people import those same things here, this is why it doesn't gel as well. You see, you have to understand that the Sharia has a kind of tabi'ah to it, and it gels with its surroundings. So yeah, I hope that's of some interest.